Have you ever imagined stepping into a prehistoric tide pool only to find animals the size of cars? Long before monsters roamed the land, the seas were ruled by giants. We're talking armored fish, titanic turtles, and tentacled hunters that would dwarf today's predators. This is the hidden age of marine gigantism, a time when being enormous was the only way to survive. If you could travel back in time and surface in the ancient oceans, nothing would feel familiar. The water wouldn't just hold schools of small fish and plankton, it would hold creatures that sound like science fiction. These giants didn't all live at the same time. They were products of different eras, different ecologies, and different evolutionary arms races. Yet, the pattern repeats itself again and again. When the conditions are right, life in the sea gets very, very large. Let's consider the orthocones, the straight-shelled cephalopods of the Paleozoic oceans. Based on fossils, the longest of these shells could have reached tens of feet. Now, these are estimates based on fragments, so we have to be careful. But even the most conservative numbers show a scale far beyond most modern squids or octopuses. In a world where most creatures moved slowly, sheer bulk was a great strategy. A heavy shell offered protection from smaller predators and allowed an animal to dominate its local food chain. When everything else is sluggish, a giant doesn't need to be fast to be king. Fossils of creatures like Echolopterus suggest they could reach multiple meters in length, and they weren't just passively grazing. So why did they get so big? Part of the answer is ecological opportunity. The early seas offered plenty of food and very little competition from faster, more specialized predators. When prey is abundant and your main defense is being too big to eat, evolution often favors getting larger. It's likely that an arms race between different sea scorpions and between them and early fish pushed their size to the absolute limit. Moving forward through time, into the Devonian and Carboniferous periods, armored fish called placoderms took over. The poster child here is Dunkleosteus, a massive fish with a head covered in bony plates that acted like teeth, delivering bone-crushing bites. Its armor and powerful jaws allowed it to bite right through the protective plating of other fish. This is a classic evolutionary arms race. When prey develops stronger defenses, predators evolve stronger weapons. When redditors get new offensive tools, prey armor gets thicker. This back-and-forth escalation explains many examples of prehistoric gigantism. It wasn't just that being bigger was always better. It was that being bigger was better relative to what else was living at the time. The environment of the ocean itself makes these incredible sizes possible. Buoyancy counteracts much of the pull of gravity, allowing an animal's body to grow in ways that would be impossible on land. A creature that would collapse under its own weight. That's why the largest animal ever known, the blue whale, lives in the sea today. and why the past is filled with a parade of massive body plans that just wouldn't work on dry ground. But water alone isn't enough. Things like oxygen levels, temperature, and the entire food web structure all play a role in whether these enormous bodies can be sustained. In certain eras, when all these factors lined up perfectly, the ocean became a playground for giants. After the age of orthocones and sea scorpions came the Mesozoic era, the age of dinosaurs, but also the age of giant marine reptiles. Mosasaurs, pliosaurs, and ichthyosaurs dominated the Cretaceous seas as agile, massive predators. Even some turtles, like the enormous archelon, grew shells and flippers so large they could cross entire oceans. These animals evolved in a very different world. There were complex reef ecosystems, higher ocean productivity, and new, faster, more diverse types of prey. Long-term shifts in ocean chemistry and circulation change the amount of energy available to support such huge bodies. And of course, whales, especially the blue whale, represent the modern peak of marine gigantism, fueled by a system that concentrates enormous amounts of food for them to eat. Today's giants are shaped by new challenges, warm-blooded metabolisms, different predators, and increasingly, the impact of humans. Gigantism isn't some single evolutionary goal. It's a solution that appears again and again when conditions reward it. It can happen for different reasons: competition within a species, predator-prey arms races, or just a rich environment. Sometimes it fails because a new, faster competitor evolves. Sometimes a catastrophe erases that way of life entirely. And sometimes fragments of those ancient experiments survive, giving us a living echo of a world long gone. When we look at these ancient giants, we have to be careful to distinguish between hard facts and interpretation. Many size estimates rely on incomplete fossils, and scientists are always revising the numbers as new evidence comes to light. But the overall pattern is clear. Across deep time, the ocean has repeatedly produced organisms of extraordinary size, each one perfectly shaped by its own world. These titans tell us something fundamental about evolution: that form follows function, and that when the environment opens a door, natural selection will almost always walk through it. The ancient seas were a theater of giants, and their stories are written in stone and bone, waiting for us to read them. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into the deep past, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more adventures into the history of life on Earth. See you next time.